Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that this is a difficult time for many as we try to make sense of the horror of this week's headlines. The mass grave site in Kamloops confirmed what many Indigenous communities already knew, that hundreds, possibly thousands of their own were missing. The fact that these acts happened to children at the hands of the adults and governments who should have been in charge of their care weighs heavily on my mind as a parent. We need to recognize that still today, Indigenous children are being denied opportunity and a future. The work must continue to ensure that all Indigenous peoples are safe with access to the rights that many Ontarians enjoy. We have a legal and moral responsibility to do everything in our power to set right relations. I am honored to have the opportunity to be accepting the nomination as the candidate in Spadina Fort-York at this moment in time, because I have seen firsthand how government can be a force for good, and I want to be part of that good. I want to help build thriving communities in which every person, from new babes to great-grandparents, feel like they matter. I want to share with you a time where I experienced this firsthand. It's the mid-1990s. I'm a grade 11 student at Jarvis Collegiate. I'm a part-time staff member at Spadina Court Community Centre and a participant in the feminist programs for young women at St. Stephen's Community House. I'm nerdy, I'm hopeful, and for the first time in my young life, I'm excited about the work that I'm doing, which were not the science and math dreams that my parents had for me. Out in the world, I'm a teen activist, calling out sexism and racism because I had amazing friends and adult allies who helped me figure out where and how we can teach one another. These youth programs were a choice of our governments. At home, I have two incredible parents who struggled. My mother is wrestling with mental health issues, and my dad is stretched thin as he carries the load of our family of 5. But then we receive help. Health interventions from my mother, like OHIP-funded psychiatrists, and eventually Asian support groups like Hong Folk Mental Health Association. The interventions that saved our family were funded by governments. Ever since that time, I have wondered why we were lucky to know about them and to be supported. Why shouldn't government and community help us all? Could the government give all of us the anchors we need to reach our fullest potential? All of these opportunities, all these moments to learn and grow and thrive are a direct result of the government choosing to invest and support the communities they serve. Since those early days at St. Stephen's and Spadina Court, I've been inspired to work with organizations who put people and community first. But it's not just the work that reminds me how important the choices of government are. It's my kids, my sons, Ellis, who is 6, and Sammy, who is 3. With my boys, I've been lucky enough to benefit from incredible maternal health care, amazing nonprofit daycare, green spaces for them to play, libraries for them to connect with knowledge and community, and teachers who work so hard every day for them to thrive. But more than all of that, my sons are also a reminder every day that our work is not yet done. I have spent the last 25 years working alongside community organizations, politicians, activists, researchers, feminists, social entrepreneurs, and private sector partners, all of whom share a collective desire to create a province where we can all thrive. What have I learned by doing this work? That we can always find better ways to serve the people of Ontario through childcare, public education, access to community health, affordable housing, and community resources in our neighborhoods. That's why I am honored to be accepting the nomination for the Ontario Provincial Liberals in the riding I grew up in, Spadina Fort-York. Downtown Toronto was a place that shaped me, and I won't ever stop fighting for the best quality of life for all of us. Standing here today, it feels important to reflect on what we've experienced over the past year. For so many in our community, it's been a period of enormous grief, of isolation, of loneliness, of disconnection, of fear and despair. In challenging times, trust becomes paramount. Trust in our institutions, leaders, and experts to keep us safe. Trust that they will give us sound advice and accurate information, and that they will keep us moving forward. For many, that trust has been shattered. On the weekend of policing and playgrounds, my trust in government was destroyed. This was the very first time I had felt like our government took decisions that would directly harm all of us, that we were being abandoned by the state. When we needed our leaders most in the midst of a global crisis, bigger than many had ever seen before, they failed us. They made politics out of a moment when communities were in deep need. This is certainly not the first time the Ford government has abandoned Ontarians. Even before the pandemic, we were calling on them to reverse their decisions to side with developers when we need affordable housing, to tackle the urgent issue of income inequality when they were busy canceling the basic income pilot, to make sure low-income families could have meaningful access to post-secondary education for their kids when they were gutting student financial supports. Time and time again, we've called for real change, and they responded with slogans. This year has been incredibly hard for so many of us, but it is compassion that has held us together. We banged pots for essential workers. We found the vaccine hunters. We started care networks across the city. We are not through it yet, but we are finally starting to see some light. And as we see these moments of light, we cannot forget what we have learned. That what came before is not what we need now. Now is the time to build the future we want, but we can't do it with the old playbooks. Now more than ever, we know that the old ways of doing things work for the few and not the many. It's time to create a government and systems that support and care for all of us, not just the well-connected or privileged few. Our government belongs to all of us. We need to trust that it cares for all of us as well. That's why I'm standing here today. I want to close by thanking my beautiful family, my 2 boys, my incredible husband, Ian, who has known for nearly 30 years that I've wanted to change the world for the better, and my parents who made countless choices in coming to Canada to set their children up for a lifetime of success. I want to thank my awesome campaign team and volunteers for helping me to connect with hundreds of residents of Spadina Fort-York over the last 6 months. We are 364 days out from our provincial election and our chance to put compassionate and mature government back in office. Whatever you do over the course of this next year, please roll up your sleeve and find the ways that work for you to build the Ontario that we deserve. Tonight, I'm asking all of you to help us win back Spadina Fort-York and the Ontario we love. We cannot afford another 4 years of Conservative government. And to end this, I'll need your help because at the core, politics is a team sport. We'll need to work hard to knock on the doors of our neighbors, to call our friends, and to share in the vision that the government we want is a force for good. We are setting the path to Queen's Park. Let's get there together. Thank you for this incredible opportunity to fight for the Ontario we deserve. Thank you.